Hi and welcome to the video. This one is all about motherhood, so becoming a first time mom, which is what I am. I have a 11-month-old baby, so as he's nearly one, I feel like, I can't believe he's that big, but as he's nearly one, I feel like this is the time that I'm reflecting on how being a first time mom is, because it's very daunting and it's a little bit crazy at times, but it's so worth it, and it's just the best thing ever. So let's crack on. So I'm just going to start with my experience of what being a first time mom was all about. So the whole of my pregnancy, so I was pregnant I found out I was pregnant in the August, and I gave birth in the April. So it was pretty much like a winter pregnancy, which was quite nice because I could just wrap up, and joggers and leggings and hoodies were my best friend. But the whole pregnancy I hated, and I'm going to admit that I absolutely hated being pregnant. This is just my experience. I know so many people that absolutely loved it, but I was so excited to be pregnant, and it's just because I had a bad experience. So my first pregnancy, I had a miscarriage, so I lost the ideal pregnancy along with everything else that I lost with that miscarriage, which it took up until now-ish to recover from that, if I'm honest. And that was in the January before I got pregnant in the August. Well, before I found out in August, it was in the January, and it was just hard, and it still is hard days. It's something that, because I've always wanted to be a mom and it meant so much to me, I struggled with it, but we'll get more on that in a different video. So I just had a hard time on the second pregnancy because I just couldn't see that there was a baby at the end of this tunnel. So the whole pregnancy I just had anxiety, and that was kind of it. I was anxiety, and I was just sad and scared and worried, and that's it, because I didn't really have much morning sickness. I was sick probably 3 times. I felt okay, I was just tired. I was absolutely fine, really. Thinking back, I don't know what I was complaining about because I was fine. Towards the end of the pregnancy, I got massive. I'll put some photos up, but I was so big, it was crazy. And for someone that's like, I'm only 5 foot, what am I, 5'5", so I'm quite short, and I'm normally like slimish, and from being like my body like it is now to absolutely massive, it was just a hard adjustment, and like walking around was just difficult, and I was out of breath all the time, and I had really bad acid, but apart from that, the pregnancy was absolutely fine. No complications, he was perfect. I did have a car crash like quite a major car crash at maybe 32 weeks, and that sent me into pre-labour, but I'll cover more on that in the end because everything was fine in the end. So apart from that and feeling rubbish, it was fine. It was a great pregnancy. The birth was the best. I absolutely loved my birth. It didn't go to plan. It went completely like out the window. I had to be induced. I'll make a video on my birth story because it was just, I loved it so much. So I had a really good birth at the end of a rubbish pregnancy. I had a long recovery. So this is just my experience. I had a long recovery once I gave birth. It probably took 3 months till I felt a little bit normal again. Like, it just took a while. Other people are like out shopping the next day. I wasn't. I was not okay. My body just did not heal well. Being a first time mum, my feelings, I was so excited. I couldn't wait to be a mother, and I still feel like that to the day. I just feel so like lucky to be his mom and to be a mom, and it's just the most beautiful thing in the world. It is. Anyone that is pregnant, oh, you're so lucky. You don't know what you've got it in for. It is just so wonderful, and I can't wait for another because he brings me so much joy and love and everything that I can't see my life without more babies and lots more babies, and ideally I'd love like 5 but I know that is a bit much. Maybe not, maybe I'll have 5. But ideally I'd have like 10, but that is, can't fit them in the car. I gave birth, and when we got home I kind of stayed around the bed, stayed in bed for a couple of days, then just stayed. I saw this thing on, I think it was TikTok, and it was like 3 days in, or 3 or 5, 3 days in bed, 3 days in the bedroom, 3 days just near the bedroom at home. It might have been 5 days, and I really used that, because it just gave me the encouragement to the fact that, oh no, I don't have to get up, and I'm gonna let myself recover, let myself get to terms with how it is being a mom to a newborn baby. And they're wild. It is a crazy first few days and weeks and months getting used to having a newborn baby, but oh, it's just, I loved having a newborn, and I've loved every stage. So George had a week or so off when I first gave birth, and he stayed and he helped. He cooked me meals and brought them to bed. He filled up my drink. He restocked the nappies, and he did everything that he could have, because I was like, I want the baby, he's my baby, I want to hold him all day long. I didn't let anyone else hold him for a very long time. Obviously I did, but my sisters would come over and they'd be like, oh, can I hold him? I'm like, yeah. And then like, after like 10 minutes I'd be like, can I have him back? I just loved holding him, and I still do. And if anyone offers to hold him now, I'm like, no, I'll hold him. Like with his baby carrier, he's a bit big now, like he's nearly 1, and I still carry him like on the front in his baby carrier. And my mum was walking with us the other day and she was like, do you not want George to carry him, seeing as he's a lot stronger? And I was like, no, I want to hold him forever. So as long as I can, I'm gonna hold that boy. Just my experience of becoming a first time mom, it's crazy, it's daunting, it's a really magical time in your life. That I always think, because when you become a first time mom, you don't ever get this newborn by itself stage ever again in your life, and it's just so magical. I really took that and thought, well, next time I'm gonna have a toddler and a newborn, or a baby and a newborn, or like, I will never have just him or just my one baby as a newborn. So I'm going to stay in bed, I'm going to chill, I'm going to relax, I'm going to sleep when he sleeps. And when people say like, oh, sleep when the baby sleeps, I did. Most of the time I did. The other times I just lay there next to him like, I've got a baby. And that was like that for the first 4 months. I was just like in shock that I had a baby. So yeah, just, I think you can't take other people's advice of sleep when the baby sleeps, because if that doesn't work for you, that's not going to work for you, and you're just going to resent that. But it worked for me, and I loved it, and I spent a lot of time in bed that first 4 months of his life, and I don't regret it. It was perfect. I'd do it again. So my baby essentials, I've got 3 for mum and 3 for baby, because everyone, when they're like, oh, my newborn needs this, you forget about yourself, and you probably need a lot of attention once you've given birth. Or I did. I needed to really look after myself, and I didn't. And looking back, I should have looked after myself more. I should have had that shower when the daddy was looking after baby. I should have really, instead of being like, oh no, I need to be with my baby at all times, I should have taken it and accepted the help. And so look after myself. So this is my essentials for looking after mummy and baby. The first one for baby is the next to me crib. I love this. We had it until he grew out of it. He was far too long for it in the end, and that was when he was 6 months, and he could sit up as well, so we had to get rid of it. I loved it. It went directly like on the side of my bed, just there, and I could it sounds really stupid, but I watched him when I was sleeping. Like, I'd just watch him, and like, I didn't sleep with like up the top of the bed for ages. I slept eye to eye with him. The next to me crib, best thing in the world. The next one for Mummy is dressing gown. I lived in a dressing gown because, and you don't have to go ahead and buy yourself a new one, but like freshly cleaned, washed dressing gown when you get home from the hospital, it's just wonderful because you can just wear your dressing gown and pants, or just wear your dressing gown, and you can open it up, have skin to skin easily with baby, and wrap it around baby. So it just is so cozy. Just keep cozy in your dressing gown, and I just lived in my dressing gown. I loved it. The next one for baby is a sling. So I used I think they're called Freerider, I'll put a picture up, slings, and like you just basically, it's like a massive piece of material, and you like wrap it around yourself and like make a little pocket, like a kangaroo pouch for your baby. And oh, he lived in that. He loved it until he got a bit bigger, and then we moved on to the like ergo baby carrier, when like a more structured carrier, when he was a bit bigger and he wanted more movement. And but the sling I just loved. I loved how he went in it when I was getting ready for the day, he'd be in it when I was cleaning, tidying up, he'd be in it for a walk, he'd be in it when we go to the shops. He was always in it. I used it probably like 4 times a day, every day, until he was like 4 or 5 months. It was just, oh, I loved my baby sling. And it's like, it looks daunting because it's like a massive piece of fabric, and you're like, how is this gonna hold my baby? They are great, and once you've got the knack of it, it's like amazing. So yeah, so that's for baby, my second essential for baby. The next essential for Mummy, a big cup. And that sounds stupid, like a water bottle. I had a massive like Starbucks kind of cup, and it kept like a litre of water in, and it was on my bedside. And because I was breastfeeding, I don't know if when you're not breastfeeding you drink as much, but I drank so much water, and I still, like, I'm slacking a bit now, but I was drinking so well. I was drinking like 3 of those a day because I was like, I don't want my milk supply to go down. Oh, I drank so much of those, and it probably made recovery better, and I felt great, and I was less tired because I was constantly full of water. And definitely treat yourself to a big new cup, because it's the novelty of having something new as well. You'd always use it. I used mine. I brought mine when I found out I was pregnant. I got a new cup, and it helps me drink as much as I could through pregnancy, and as much as I could in the newborn stage, and up until now really, when I need to start it again. Third baby essential is a swaddle. Like any swaddle. I did have like the zip up Tommy Tippy swaddles, and they're okay. When he was first newborn though, like the old school blanket swaddles, if you can learn to do that, they're perfect. I use that every single night, and like I'm constantly wrapping him out and wrapping him in, because he's constantly having nappy change, constantly going for a feed, a burp, and then you just swaddle him back up, put him in his next to me, and he drifts off. And just the swaddle, I wish they didn't grow out of swaddles because he loved his. But obviously as soon as they start to roll, you can't put them in a swaddle because it's dangerous. But until he rolled, or until he showed signs of rolling, he loved his swaddle. And once we got rid of the swaddle, that's when his sleeping started to like deteriorate, and now he doesn't sleep great. But he slept perfect until we did that. So yeah, an old school swaddle is my favourite for baby. So baby 3 essentials is a next to me, a sling, and a swaddle. I lived by them. They were great, and that's the only thing I can looking back and think about is, sorry, the cloud's gone really bad lighting. They're the 3 things I can think about when I'm thinking, oh, what did I use for him? What did those? So the last Mummy item is a basket. A basket beside the bed to keep nappies, wipes, snacks, anti-bac. I literally just kept loads of snacks in mine, and I'd eat them all night. And like I'd get treats because you're up all night. I'd get treats to be like, oh, at 3 o'clock I know I'm gonna have like 3 Maltesers or something. So yeah, so I kept spare pyjamas, a vest, swaddle, nappies, wipes, nappy bags, snacks, like a muslin, and like anything else you go to grab and you're like, oh, I needed that in the night, like that. So if you're bottle feeding, I imagine there's a lot more that you need in that. My 3 top essentials for mummy and 3 for baby, they were just perfect. So lastly are my tips of becoming a first time mom. And tip number 1, and if it's the only tip you take, it's the best one: give yourself grace. So you just give yourself a break, relax, give yourself time and love and everything you need just to feel normal, because this is like the biggest thing in your life that has just changed. You didn't have anyone to care for, unless like you cared for your partner, or like I just cared for myself and George and the dog, and then you have a baby and it's like a whole human, which is crazy. So just give yourself grace, give yourself love, time and everything that you need to not do the washing up the second it goes in. Think, oh, I'm gonna go sleep with the baby sleeps, because I'm up all night and I need to look after myself. And so what if the hoovering needs doing today? I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it when I've got time. And just give yourself a break, because it does get easier when you have a newborn. Like he's crawling, nearly walking, chatting away to me now. He follows me about when I do the hoovering. He sits in his high chair with a wooden spoon when I do the washing up, or he plays by himself. So just give yourself a break, because it does get easier and you won't get things done in the newborn stage. And if you do, amazing. But if you don't and you don't feel like you get time to, just take it easy, because you've got a whole new human and they need a lot of love. My next tip is try not to get overwhelmed by research. Like, definitely research as much as you can, because it's a new thing and it's the biggest thing in life and it's a bit of a crazy experience. But don't get bogged down with leaps and stages. And like, one thing that really got me was like 100 foods before 1. Just, I don't do that. Don't do that. If you don't want to do that and if it overwhelms you, they'll eat food. And just take everything with a pinch of salt. Take all advice with a pinch of salt. Do research, obviously, because you probably haven't raised children before and you want the best for your child. So I still research now, and I think I will for the next 15, 18 years. And I think my mom still does. I think all moms still try and learn as much as they can for their children, even if they're grown-ups. But just try not to get overwhelmed by it. And that's easier said than done, because I've been there and I have done that. And just take it easy. Again, take it easy. Give yourself grace. One thing that I really struggled with when I first had him was accepting help and feeling pressured that I had to accept help. Like, sometimes I didn't want someone to come over and hold the baby so I could do the washing up. I didn't want that. I wanted to hold my baby, and I wanted to snuggle him, and I wanted to be relaxing with him and playing with him and talking to him. I didn't want someone to come over and look after him so I could wash up, so I could do the hoovering, so I could wash my clothes. And so there's like, accept the help. So my mom would say, oh, shall I put a wash in for you? Yeah, please accept the help, but don't feel pressured to accept the help at the same time. So just do what makes you feel comfortable. And if that is saying no, don't want any help, I'm going to do it all myself, do it all yourself. But don't, like, I felt really pressured that I had to accept help off people when I didn't necessarily want the help. And then when I did want the help, I didn't know how to ask for help. So it's like a bit of a fine line. And I think I think every mom struggles with accepting help and asking for help, and you feel like you have to do everything yourself, you have to be Wonder Mom, and it's just not reality. So accept the help that you want to accept, and don't accept the help that you don't want to accept, and don't feel pressured to accept help or ask for help, and ask for help if you need help. So just do what you can to make you comfortable, because everyone should be like working around you. You're a new mom. Everyone needs to help you, and in any way that you feel comfortable for it. Next step following along that is do what feels comfortable to you. So to me, I was in hospital. I came out of hospital the same day I gave birth. So I gave birth at 20 past midnight. I came out and got home about 5 o'clock that Thursday night. And I wanted to be at home. I didn't feel like the midwives were looking after me enough. So I wanted to be at home. I wanted to be able to go to bed and shower and relax and look after myself, because I wasn't getting that at the hospital. But do things your way. So don't have visitors. Do have visitors. Do what you want. But make sure that your partner knows when you want visitors and who you want as your first visitor, because like it's very different. If you're very close to your partner's family, you might want them in the room straight away. You might want them over straight away. If you're not, you don't. And it really does depend on how you feel, and anyone that does want to come visit baby has to understand that they're not allowed to if you don't want them to. And I didn't have visitors, so I live next door to my family, so we did have visitors, but I went and visited them so I could leave, and whenever I was ready I went and visited them, which was the same day. But with like other people, I didn't have anyone coming over. I didn't have people like my friends coming over to see him for I think 2 weeks, and it was Easter when I felt comfortable. So I think he was 10 days old when I first felt comfortable to have guests and have him see people, and people weren't happy with that, like not at all. Some people weren't happy with that, but I'm a new mom. I didn't want people to come bombard me, and even when visitors came, they didn't all hold him. Like, I have a big family and they didn't all hold him. He wasn't passed around. He was held by who I felt comfortable with him being held by, and he was, it doesn't mean that I didn't want them to hold him. We just didn't have enough time in the day for everyone to hold him without him being like, here you go, here you go, here you go, here you go, here you go. It's just hard. So you just take it with however you feel, and if you don't want visitors, don't have them. If you want them, help have them. If you only want your mom to visit, only have your mom to visit, because when I was pregnant I first felt like I only want my mom to see me, like, and then like I gave birth, and before I gave birth I was like, I don't really want any visitors. I want it just to be me, baby and George for like a day at least. When I gave birth I cried because I wanted my mom. Like after birth I was like, I really want to see my mum, like, oh my gosh. So I went and saw her, and she saw me before she met baby, and that was really nice. It was a really special moment, because it's just a crazy experience giving birth. You need your mum sometimes. But yeah, so they're my tips, essentials, and my experience of becoming a first-time mom. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope that if you're pregnant you know what you're in for, because it is the best thing in the world. And I can hear him, he's like chatting away because he's just woke up, so I'm gonna go fetch him. But just enjoy it, take it as it is, enjoy it, love being a first time mom, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.